Howdy folks, Indestructicon here with another Wonderlands build video. I know I've been gone for quite a while, and I'm sorry about that. I was just honestly having a hard time playing this game. I just tried to fire it up. I was getting bored with the builds and kind of bored with the game in its current state, and I just honestly had a really hard time turning it on and playing. Had some other things going on in my life too that distracted me a little bit, but that has all resolved itself, and I think I have a really cool build for you here today. I really wanted to set out and do a Ghostblade build. I hadn't seen a lot of them, and I always thought it was a really cool mechanic, and I just never really put one together. So if there are a lot of them out there, I haven't looked them up. I didn't see a whole lot of people really making Ghostblade builds, so this is Deathblade, and let's just get right into it. We'll start with the skill tree here first. It's kind of not super traditional, but we'll just go through it here. So we are using a Stabbomancer. I am using the Ghostblade. That's the crux of this build here, to try to make that as awesome and as powerful as possible. So we have 5 points in Arsenal. We have 1 point in Haste. We have 2 points in Potent Poisons. I didn't probably spread out the points how you might think here. We're not going for a crazy Contagion build here or anything like that. We will be getting some more points into this when we look at gear. So yeah, we got 1 point in Haste, 2 points in Potent Poisons. I have 5 points in Swift Death. I have 3 points in Exploit Their Weakness. We have 3 points in Nimble Fingers. You're going to see why here in a bit. This is an important one for this build. We have 1 little point in Shadow Step, and I only have 1 point in Contagion just to get a little bit of status effect going. And I have 1 point in Alchemical Agent, which is super strong. For our Brr-Zerker tree, we have 4 points in Ancestral Frost. We have 5 points in Savagery. We have 5 points in the Old Ways. We have 3 points in Icebreaker, 3 points in Cold Snap, 1 point in Unarmored Defense, and we have 1 point in Blast Chill. And sorry, my nose is itchy. So that's it for the tree. We may jump back and forth here a little bit to explain a few things. And I'm trying to make this quick because it's really hot in here and the air conditioner picks up on the mic. So let's look at our gear here. Our main weapon is going to be the Spellblade. We are using a Spellblade. That's also why I wanted to be sure to take points in Nimble Fingers to get that extra spell damage there. Let's see. I'm going to pop my armor in here. I'm trying to think the best way to go about this. So I'm going to actually start with the armor. I'm going with a Warp Paradigm because we are using the Spellblade. And let's see, you want the one melee damage and ability damage are increased by 35% of your increased spell damage. Now, the Spellblade, it says melee attacks deal spell damage instead of melee damage, but this isn't entirely true. It does both. Both of those damage sets, spell and melee, will make the Spellblade stronger. So it's important to know there. I have an ancient one here, so we can get our action skill cooldown going a little bit more. I was using the Cape of Tides, the Tides armor, which I was getting some pretty good results, but this armor is doing a lot better, I think. I looked for points in the speed damage stuff, so you can see I have those there. This one also has movement speed on it and all damage dealt. This seems to be the best armor I could get, and it's not the worst thing in the world to farm. We are using a Buffmeister, and I was not able, another reason why I'm kind of frustrated with this game right now, is I tried for weeks to roll the Ghost Blade enchantment on here, and I was not able to, but as you can see, this is still a pretty strong build. So we are using a Frosting Buffmeister. I would suggest going with a Bonk Zap. Ice is going to be our main element, so everything is kind of geared to ice. The Spellblade's ice. This is geared to ice. I have Action Skill active, which is what you're going to want to roll on most of your stuff because your Ghost Blade will be out quite a bit. Bonk Zap, that's going to be melee and spell. I bet a Bonk Ka-Chow would also work, but this is the one I had, and I farm all my gear myself, so I don't get save files or anything of that. So sometimes that's why these builds take a little while. It's because it's really tricky to farm and roll the things you want on everything. For our necklace, I am going with a blood bag currently. I do have this Thurge of Strategy, which I'm going back and forth. The bottom ability is not super important to me. The Thurge, of course, is going to give you more action skill cooldown. I just like the stats and everything on this other one right now, but please use whatever necklace you think is going to work best for you. This is not a fully optimized build yet. So we got those covered. The shell casings I really like for this build. So you remember the old type of Spellblade melee builds where you'd want your live wire down to 1? They changed that when they've updated the live wire, the gun, but this is a cool ring because while currently equipped gun is low on ammo, infects are increased by 66%. So I still like to run that live wire down to 1 or 2 ammo, and you get a nice little bump to your damage there. This is a spell damage. This has action skill duration, cooldown, and ability crit hit. Not the best ring, but it's been working pretty good for me. Our other ring is also a spell damage because we're using the spell blade, and that's going to be proccing our attacks there. And again, a spell damage, some action skill cooldown, and melee critical hit chance is really important. So you want to try to maximize that on your gear as best as possible. I go back and forth on different body runes. Let's see, or I'm sorry, different shields. You know what I meant. So I switch between the body rune, which is always a favorite of mine, and I also have an Cursed Wit here, one of my very few ascended pieces of gear I have. And the enchantment on these, if you want to min-max damage, you're going to want a different enchantment. You're going to want to go with some action skill active thing, I think would be your best bet. I like a little bit of survivability, so I rolled on these when health is below 50%, regenerates 5% maximum health per second, but this also gives you a damage boost. This is a really good enchantment. So when it's between 0 and charging up to 50%, you're going to have that 30% damage dealt. I think that's for all the accoutrement there. Like I said, I switch between the Cursed Wit and the body rune depending on the situation. So I was using the Tidebreaker, but I got damage out of this one and I just realized I can just carry a Delusion. So I'm carrying a Delusion mainly for bosses and big tough enemies. You can soak them with this and still have all the benefits of the Paradigm here. So I suggest carrying one of these. None of this gear is super hard to get. I don't have a lot of crazy rolled stuff. This is simply for soaking things. And of course, you're going to want the live wire because your Spellblade attack is going to be very strong, even though I'm trying to mainly use the Ghost Blade. But this will apply the spell damage and all of that to the Ghost Blade, I learned. So this is a really good one to use, and I found it made the Ghost Blade stronger than, say, using like a Banshee or something like that. And we are also carrying a Stabbomancer. This is just, it's a really fun gun. It's an incredible gun. It works great with this build. It does, from what I can tell, someone can correct me, it does seem to be getting some kind of interaction or damage from the Spellblade as well. So This is going to just be a really good boss for, gun for faraway bosses. If you got to deal with Bernadette, Dryle, and you have a little range here, and it does a very good amount of damage with this setup. What do I always forget? I always forget hero stats. So let's look at those. Crit chance is really important. It really seems to do the best when the Ghost Blade and your Spell Blade are critting a lot. So I dumped all of my points into that. I dumped all of the points into attunement. I'm kind of looking at that new necklace too. I might want to try out that gives you crit chance and damage based on your points in attunement. That's something you may want to play with. That might be really cool. I just haven't found a good one yet. So, but this is going to be beneficial because Ghost Blade is going to be your main weapon, and you want that out as much as possible. And I believe I dumped the rest of the points into strength here just to really make those crits pop. And I think that's it. I'm sure I forgot something. Sorry I hadn't posted in such a long time, but I found some new appreciation for the game. I'm excited about the new class to play with that. And I think that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. If you do like these, I'd appreciate a subscribe. And with that, I will see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.